Can I kindly request everyone to say sadhu to start the discussion
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
session? Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Seyata vibhikkhave puruso Saratiko Saragavesi Sarapariesanam Charamano Tinham Putari Adaya Vanam Paviseya. So Tatta Passeya Mahantang Kadalikandam Ujumna Akujataka Tamenang Mula Jinneya Mula Jetwa Agge Jinneya Agge Jetwa Pattavatting Vini Bahujjaya. So Tatta Pattavatting Vini Bahujjanto Pegumma Nadigachaya Kuto Saram Tamenang Chakuma Puriso Passiya Nijjaya Yoniso Paparikaya Tassatang Passato Nijjaya Yoniso Paparikato Vittancheva Kayang Puchakang Nyedang Kaya Asara Ang Kaya King Hesia Bhikkave Kadalikando Saro Evameva Ko Bhikkave Yekechi Sankara Titanagata Pachuppana Ajjatangva Bahitangva Olarikangva Sukumangva Hidangva Panitangva Ye Dure Santikeva Tam Bhikkhu Passate Nijjayatu Yoniso Paparikate Tassatam Passato Nijjayato Yoniso Paparikate Rittancheva Kayati, Chuchanteva Kayati, Asarakancheva Kayati. Tinkesya Bhikkave Sankaro Saru Sadhu Sadhu Ta. Dear Dhamma friends, this is another session of our mindfulness workshop, which we usually hold on Tuesdays, and the meaning of the section of Penapindukama discourse or the discourse. The Blessed One says, suppose because that a man needing heartwood, seeking heartwood, wandering in search of heartwood, would take a sharp axe and enter a forest. There he would see the trunk of a large plantain tree, straight, fresh, without a fruit bud core. He would cut it down at the root, cut off the crown, and unroll the coil. As he unrolls the coil, he would not find even soft wood, let alone hardwood. A man with good eyesight would inspect it, ponder it, and carefully investigate it. And it would appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in the trunk of a plantain tree? So too, bhikkhus, whatever kind of volitional formations there are, whether past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, a bhikkhu inspects them, ponders, investigates them. They appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in volitional formations? That is the meaning of the section or the stanza that I just recited. And we have been discussing this discourse for some time. And this discourse basically is analyzing the components of any living being. That is the form, feelings, perceptions, volitions, and the consciousness. And the Blessed One is giving a simile for each of them. And the form we discussed that a man with a good eyesight would inspect and find that there is no meaning, no nothing to be appreciated in a lump of fire. And in the same way, a mendicant, a bhikkhu, who inspect and carefully investigate, finds that in the form there is no meaning. It is void, hollow, and insubstantial. And Blessed One is using three main terms. He says, a bhikkhu will investigate it very carefully, and bhikkhu will ponder it and inspect it. And he doesn't just say form is like fire. He will get as close as possible. And that is what we are doing by practicing. While walking and while sitting, while doing our day-to-day activities, we try to get as close as possible to our forms, for our physical process. And some of you may have gone into the deeper layers of the body, physical process, and you find that there is not, having some sort of how do I call it? Some sort of instability, some sort of moving nature, some sort of appearing and disappearing nature. So when someone gets very close to the body, you will be able to see that. And you basically see when you observe the breath, we'll forget about the body. When you observe the breath, when you get closer to the breath, what you will see is, initially you will see the breath as a solid thing that goes in and that goes out. You will be very happy. And when you keep on observing the same thing, and you start seeing that it becomes subtler and subtler and subtler, and it comes to a point when you inspect in this manner, when you get close in this manner, when you ponder it in this manner, you see there is no, at least, shorter breath as such, and all air particles are appearing at the entrance of the nostril, and those air particles, as the body demands, just goes in, and as body commands, it comes out. So this is the process that happens, and you keep observing that. When you keep observing that in that manner, not only these air particles are going into the body, and even you start observing, body is also not a solid thing, and it is also having particles. It is also having moving nature. And because of that moving nature, because the body is a live thing, it is always appearing and disappearing, and that is how the human beings, or that is how any living being, that is how even a tree grows, that is how even anything else will die, because there is a process of regeneration and degeneration, and which gives the notion, which denotes that these things are not really solid. They are very feeble, and they are always moving. They are always having some expansion and contraction nature, and you will observe that when you get closer. And therefore, it appears to one who very closely monitors that it is a lump of a fire. And similarly, the feeling, the Blessed One says, feelings too will be like a water bubble. And when you are in contact with the body, or maybe for that matter, sometimes the mind, you will have either pleasantness or unpleasantness. If the contact is a pleasant contact, then you will have a pleasant bubble, and it will last only until such time that contact is there. And if it's unpleasant thing, unpleasant contact, you will, even the unpleasant contact, you will have it only until such time that contact is there. So it's like a water bubble. A water drop comes and hit on the surface of another water body, and it is created by the contact and lasts for very few seconds, or not even seconds sometimes, fractions of seconds, and then it vanishes. But this happens very fast, especially when it is raining, and it feels like that this feeling is something that is continuing. And therefore, when you get contact, when you get closer to the contact, especially this changing body or changing physical process, appearing and disappearing physical process, you see, for some people it is a pleasant thing, and they will have a pleasantness so long as that contact is there. Some people, when they see this nature, they consider it as an unpleasant thing, and they don't like it, and they create the unpleasant feeling. So that pleasantness or unpleasantness again depends on the contact, and as a result, Blessed One says it is like a water bubble. And when the practitioner very closely monitors the feeling in this manner, practitioner will understand a pleasant thing that becomes pleasant when you keep observing it very closely. Its pleasantness will not last long, or its pleasantness will gradually fade away. Similarly, the unpleasant nature, and it will come to a situation where there is neither called a neutral situation. So even that neutral situation will be there only so long as you have the contact about the neutral situation. So therefore, the Blessed One says, feelings like a water bubble, you will see that feeling only so long as you have the contact, you have the attention to the contact. And the perception, the Blessed One says, a mirage, because you keep looking for it, you keep chasing it, but you will never reach it. And that happens from the feelings. The feelings is a result of the perception. Or you have feelings because you have a perception that something is good and something else is bad. Something is suffering and something is pleasurable, and something is permanent and others are not permanent. So because of these notions, it becomes a mirage, because in the world, whether we like it or not, there are certain rules, there are certain laws of the nature, and law of the nature is that everything is impermanent, everything is non-self, everything is suffering. But our perception, when we have form, when we have feeling, is to create pleasure. And we are trying to create pleasure, not because of anything, because we think that there is a self to satisfy. And therefore, we try to make everything permanent. So with that notions, when we work to make things permanent, to make things self, to make things pleasurable, you do so many things, you create so many perceptions, you go behind so many things that you think will be able to change the situation, but just killing yourself, you will realize that you are just chasing behind a mirage, like a deer who is going in search of water during the hot season. So these are the things that we discussed in very detail in the previous session. And from these three things, we are going on to the next section of a human being, or the next ingredient of a human being, which is mental volition. And also, I would like to say this is a section of the mental process. Form is the physical process. Feelings is the interconnection between the physical process and the mental process. And the perception is part of the mental process. And volition is again, basically it is mental process, but it becomes gross and it goes to other stages as well. So we will first try to understand the word sankhara. In other words, mental formations. Some says fabrications. Some says mental volition. So I prefer the word mental volition. But whatever the English term you use, sankhara, when you see the Pali Sinhala dictionary, it is having an array of meaning. One, it says ability to function, the potential for any living being to function is known as sankhara. And also it says the supportive factor for existence, in new existence, is also called sankhara. And it also says editing or doing changes is also sankhara. And finally, there is another meaning which says condition the thing is also called sankhara. So if you take these things and try to understand it a bit more in detail, when you say ability to function, let me put it this way. When a child is born, that child is having all the potential, but he's not active yet because he has not really come to understand the things available in the world, since he's not mature. But there is an ability within him to be a good man, to be a bad person, to be an educated person, or to be a dumb person, or hardworking person, or just a lethargic person. All these potentials are there which we don't know. So that is also sankhara. Or if I put it in a different way, that those sankharas will be activated gradually by the outside world. When the child is born, he will be giving so many toys, so many colorful things, and with those things he will start functioning. He will start activating his eye, activating his ear, activating his tongue, so on and so forth. The functions will start. Similarly, if you take a vehicle, when you buy the vehicle, it has the ability to function, but it is not functioning yet. Because you haven't paid for it, the previous owner has not passed the ownership to you, and you don't have the key. But the car has the ability to function, and that basic level, very fundamental level, is also called sankhara. But the sankhara is not associated with a car as such, but I'm just taking that as a simile, the ability that it has to function. So it has fuel, it has the battery working in perfect condition. So these two will have to be ignited. Then only it will start. Similarly, any human being at any point in time, he has the ability to change it to a very passionate, kind nature, or he has violent nature. He has the nature of a saint. He has the nature of Satan, and all these things are available. He has the ability to do anything what he wants, right? So that is called ability to function, sankhara, at the very, very fundamental basic level. And also sankhara, the other meaning, is the supportive factor for existence, the thing that supports that supports the continuation of the existence is also called sankhara. Say, for example, when you start the car, and the car will start working. So when the pull the plug out, then it will start, it will stop again. You will have to keep on providing fuel. You will have to keep on manipulating it as required. Then it will continue to exist. Then it will continue to run. And similarly, for human beings, once these abilities are activated, then you will have to keep on doing things, maybe in different ways, to continue the existence. Just because you have the ability, just because you can see, you can hear, you can eat, you can smell, you don't function, right? So you will have to give necessary raw materials, ingredients, food for the continuation. And that ability, that supportive factor, is also called sankhara. The things that you do to continue your existence. And once you are born, you will be fed initially by the mother, and then other solid foods will be given, and then start crawling and become a toddler, and then going to school, and then going to primary, and then going to high school, and then going to uni, and then getting a job, and getting a girlfriend, getting married, and all sorts of things are supportive factors for existence. All what you do in that regard are also sankhara, not just one. Anything that you do, other meaning that you have to sankhara is editing or makeup. And this is a bit of a funny thing. We think editing and makeup or changing things is a good thing, because unless you change things, world will not be considered as a developed place, and you will not be able to go to the most efficient way. But what actually happens is, by changing, it's the same thing. We change and cheat ourselves. Simply take, for example, a car. Every year there is a new model, and in the same model there will have other sub classifications as well, and limited editions, and top of the range, and the lower of the range, and there will have so many things. And all these are just cosmetic makeup. And they are not really necessary, but we do it. And it is, I'm just taking it for the, taking the example of a car. And it's the same thing for anything else. Maybe clothing, maybe our own existence, we do the same thing. And we sometimes we grow our beard, sometimes we shave it, sometimes we shave the head, sometimes we don't shave it, sometimes we color it, sometimes we don't color it, and all sorts of things will be done just to change and show bit different to yesterday, or bit different to the others, to make it a bit more attractive, to show that I'm not the same person. And therefore, what we do is, it's the same man we are trying to show, same woman we are trying to show with a different perspective. And that is also called what do you call, sankhara. And this is happening in very large scale. And when you say science, in science, what is happening is only this thing. They are every day finding out new things. And when they find out new things, what happens is the old thing that we have been using will become null and void. And the person who received the so-called Nobel Prize last year will become no one when the next invention is done, because the other person will slightly change the same thing and he will start getting the royalty after that. So like that, anything that we find is a slight change from the previous one. There will be a slight cosmetic change and it becomes completely a new thing. And this is happening in very large scale everywhere in our society. And finally, another meaning for sankhara is the conditioned thing. After doing all that, which had the ability to function, and with the supportive factor for existence, with all this editing and makeup, we do something, we prepare something, we bring out an output, and that output is also called a sankhara. So therefore, all of us are sankharas, things that we have conditioned ourselves in various ways, and things that we are using are conditioned things. They are things that we ourselves have changed for various reasons. And it may be a computer, it may be a chair, it may be a cushion, it may be a clothing. All these are conditioned things. So therefore, the word sankhara is having a huge range of meaning. It's starting with the very subtle layer of the ability to function, and then it has the ability to support the existence and the continuation. And while existing and continuing, we make small cosmetic changes, and that is slightly gross or slightly tangible compared to the ability to function or the supportive factor for continuation of the existence. But finally, when the final is very gross, anybody can see, and therefore it is called the conditioned thing. So what we have in the world today are most of them the conditioned things only, and we are not able to see the subtle layers. But the request of the Blessed One for us is to carefully investigate it, to ponder it, to inquire about it, and see whether it is actually what you think it is. So with that meaning, if you look at the world where we live in are full of sankhara only. And in this word sankhara, in the four definitions or four meanings that we have seen, the main ingredient, the main functioning factor is the world is full of where there is no intentional unintentional activity. Everything is intentional, and therefore the word sankhara is something that the world cannot understand as the Blessed One suggests here. Blessed One is saying it is like a trunk of a plantain tree, trunk of a banana tree, which has no meaning. But so far as the world is concerned, they have lot of meaning in intentional activity, and they have budgets preparing, they have projections being done, they have 5-year plans, 10-year plans, 25-year plans, and everything have been planned and everything have been done intentionally. And we can see with those intentions where the world is heading to. And every day, because of this intentional involvement, what simply has happened is we have destroyed as much trees as possible. We have destroyed as much earth as possible, and we have destroyed. Air pollution has happened, soil erosion is happening, all because of the intentional activities. But these intentional activities are being done in good faith for the so-called benefit of the human beings. But although it is being done in that manner, because of those intentional activities, we are going against the nature. And since we go against the nature, unintended things will happen, unintended consequences will happen. And even for those things, they are trying to bring out solutions intentionally, and we are going from one mess to the other. And therefore, the word sankhara in one way is meaningless, as the Blessed One says, to a given person, to an individual. But when you take as a community, it is also the same thing. And although things have been done for the benefit of the human being, for the mankind, every day it is going from bad to worse. So therefore, sankhara, when we take in the most gross tangible layer, we see that there is no meaning. And this is something which we cannot discuss in the society. If we tell these things in the society, they will see us as mad people, because only thing they know is, only thing they work with is the intentional involvement, intentional activities. They absolutely have no clue that the human being is having an ability to stop this intentional involvement. And only a very few who are able to practice, who are able to challenge the intentional involvement, will be able to understand. So this intentional involvement are happening in 3 layers. And the three layers, some of you may have already heard. They are the physical layer, the verbal layer, and the mental layer. Of course, when we say mental volition, it is primarily happening at the mental level. But although it happens at the mental level, until such time it is manifested verbal and physical, we won't be able to see that mental volition has happened. So therefore, that intentional involvement can happen either physically, verbally, or mentally. So therefore, there are three ways or three doors for the mental volition or the fabrications or the intentional involved. And in one of the discourses, which we may have taken quoted earlier, discourse called Madhupindika discourse. It is giving a bit of an insight into how it happens, how these mental volitions happen. So the mental volitions, initially, you will see only at the verbal level and the physical level. You will not be able to see the mental volitions at all. And even to see the verbal level is not easy. But we will be able to understand, I will be able to explain that it is happening at the verbal level for someone who has been practicing for some time. Now, in that particular discourse, the Blessed One says, as we all know, when we get in contact with the external world, we will be using our faculties, and our faculties will be in touch with the respective objects outside. So I will be in touch with the forms, so on and so forth. And when I touch the form, get in contact with the form, the I consciousness arises. Then only I will be active. And that activation, that meeting is called the contact. So when the eye contact is there, as a condition of that eye contact, as we discussed in the water bubble, feeling arises. So the water drops on the water body, water bubble, water drop hits the water body, and the water bubble arises. In the same way here, when these three gets in contact, contact arises, and as a result of the contact, eye feeling or some pleasant or unpleasant feeling will arise. When that feeling arises, you identify the feeling, that this is a feeling, good or bad, and that is the perception. That perception will lead to now gradually verbal intentional activities, and which we call labeling, or which we call naming, and we call on feelings, the perception arises. It says yam cha vedeti yam vedeti tam sanjanati. When there is a feeling, there is a perception. And then it says, when perception arises, you start thinking. It says, yancha sanjanati tam vitakke. Vitakketi is not really thinking. Vitakka means you silently talk to yourself. You silently, an internal dialogue goes. So it's a very subtle layer, or the very basic layer, fundamental layer of the verbalization. So when you see something, you will tell yourself in your mind, and it is hard to know whether it's thinking or talking to yourself sometimes, it is called vitakka. You start having an internal chatter. Yeah, that's a good one. And that straight away comes into your head. So it's a very subtle verbal involvement with yourself. And that is why the word vitakka, that is why the word labeling or naming is coming there. And then as a result of that labeling or naming, you try to conceptualize it, and some call it objectifies it. And yancha vitakketi tam papancheti. Papancha means you start based on that, yeah, it is good. You start adding more spices into it, more salt into it, more sugar into it, and you make it a bit more tastier. It is not only good, and it is the right height, it is the right size, and it's the right color, and it's the one I like, and it has this nature, and it's really good, and all sorts of additional talk will be involved about it. So that happens, and you may have experienced those things so much because it is something that is happening all the time, and especially for those who are practicing, this is a layer which is very, very visible, and sometimes you may get involved in it so much and you become that. And that is basically a vitakka layer or conceptualization layer. And I have few examples about it. And when I was doing a retreat with Goenka some years ago, there was a guy who was writing a book, and he said, yes, I'm writing a book, and one chapter is still missing, and that is the very first day. And on the last day, because the other 9 days you can't talk, and on the last day, when we were able to talk, he told me that chapter was completed. So I asked him, didn't you practice? No, I practiced. And while meditating, I completed that chapter. So this is what is happening when we not only just practice, and now I'm taking this example of practice, but even when you are not practicing, those things are coming up, and you will just, one idea will come up, and then based on that you will keep on conceptualizing. Ultimately it become a chapter, it become a book, it become a bestseller, and we go and watch it. Absolutely nonsense. That is what Harry Potter is, and completely out of no absolutely no value in it, no reality in it. But see the amount of money people are ready to pay, amount of money people are earning for fictitious things. And they have coined a nice word, fictions. And that is conceptualization. And that conceptualization is what is happening all the time. And that is a subtle, very subtle verbal intentional activities. But when it is converted to a book, when it is written, it is no longer a verbal thing. It has been put into pen and paper, and then it has come to the physical level. But how they will start with this just one thing, just one contact, and that starts giving up this what you call snowballing effect. And this is how the innovations are happening. And most of the innovations, they don't just do anything, just keep thinking. When they keep thinking, they one idea will pop up, and based on that keep thinking, and conceptualization will happen, and then all of a sudden novel idea is there. So all these activities, all these novel ideas you know what has happened to us now, right? When we were born, we did not have all this facility. Of course, we are using those facility to say that they are bad. That's what we are doing. But when you really see the world, and people are in a dream world, they don't see that they are in. This is not reality, and like that, lot of conceptualizations will happen based on just one thought moment, one idea, one basic verbalization that happens. So therefore, in the mental volitions, or not mental volitions, in formations or in sankhara, the main layer that we can see is the verbalization layer. And we will not be able to, we can see the physical layer, but physical layer, when we are in the physical layer, we don't know that it is sankhara. We don't know that we are doing anything intentional. We are simply bogged down in it. We have been consumed by it. But at this level, especially to practitioners, I will be able to say that something like just an idea will come. Based on that, so many proliferations will keep happening, and then it will go into the physical layer. So, therefore, before we go to the mental involvement in the intentional activities, we will have to have some monitoring, some careful investigation, some pondering into this verbal layer. So, with that suspicion, with that uncertainty, I will be concluding the talk today, and we will be able to go from there in the next session. How we will go from this basic verbal layer to the physical layer when we move forward, and then if we move backward, how we will go to the mental intentional activities. So, blessings of the Triple Gem to all of you until we meet next time. Thiruvan Sarana.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
All right. Anything for discussion?
Swami Hansa, I'd just like to provide a report.
Yeah.
Thiruvan Sarana.
Thiruvan Sarana.
So like I've noticed every time my mind goes to a deeper layer, like my sleep pattern always gets involved. So every time it gets my sleep pattern.
Sleep pattern, yeah.
Yeah. So every time it gets to a tough period, like regarding the practice, everything just comes together. Like so for an example, like I'd never do overnight shifts, and all of a sudden this week I got given like 3 overnight shifts straight. And stuff like the rostering manager forgot that I had a first aid course in the morning as well, and this literally happened today. So before my overnight shift last night, like I couldn't get any sleep, so I did the shift, came home, managed to get like 1 hour sleep in, and when the alarm went off, like it got really tough. Like it literally just hit me in the face. Like my body went into all sorts of panic. I remember getting out of bed and my body just collapsed, and it was just like full panic. Like all kinds of thoughts come up, and it feels like, so when that happens, I feel like I'm like trying to get over this mountain. Like it kind of tests my faith in that time. But like, and then it just becomes choiceless awareness. Like I start bringing awareness into that moment. So like, yeah, so every time it gets tough, I've noticed my awareness becomes stronger and stronger. So it's like, like driving this morning and I was sleep deprived. I felt like I had no choice but to just be aware of that moment. So like, yeah, I've noticed my awareness gets stronger, like every time these things happen, like these challenges arise. Apart from that, like recently I've noticed like there are good times I experience like that just come and go, like, you know, good times that I have with family. So they come and then they go. And then, you know, then I face challenges, good times come, go again. And regarding the cravings, especially in the last week, they're reduced significantly. Like, so like there is a knowing that something is there, but like I don't feel the need to like entertain it as much as I used to. So yeah, like I was pretty happy about that. But yeah, that's about it for the report. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now, if I ask a question, you said your
Yeah.
sleep pattern got disturbed and you were panicking when you wanted to go for a first aid course, and all kinds of
Yeah.
thoughts started coming up,
Yeah.
and then you just collapsed, just did not wake up and slept without getting up, is what I heard. Am I right?
Yeah, got like 1 hour sleep, collapsed, but like it had a panic attack. It was like
Yeah.
anxiety or something, but like it came and it just went.
Yeah. So, did you go for the test?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So, this is if you when you is this happening? Let me put it this way: has this happened in the past as well?
Uh, not to this extent,
Yeah.
but like it like there, yeah, it's incidents like this. Like, you know, I would have like a panic attack. I think like a couple of weeks ago I had an overnight shift as well, and
Yeah.
and then I woke up and then like, yeah, it's all kinds of thoughts just come together. And you know, it's things like, oh, like what if this doesn't work out? What if I'm not on the right path? There's always
Hmm.
questions like, oh, what if I'm not on the right path?
So
So that kind of causes a panic.
these thoughts that are coming up are about what is to happen in your day-to-day activities, such as the work, or is it about the practice?
About the practice, I think a very like a main thing that I freak out about is like I
Yeah.
think uh, uh, towards the start of my psychosis, like this idea planted in my mind that I'm like that I'm not that I'm like a immortal being. So it's
Yeah.
like immortal being as in like, so it's like when this panic happens, the biggest thing that hits me is, am I paying the price for it? Like, am I like, is it actually what is it actually real? Is it you know, am I actually human, or am I like, that's like the biggest panic attack that like when it happens, that's probably the biggest thought that arises here.
Yeah. So, so irrespective of now, when you wanted to go for the test, so you did not have
Yeah.
any thoughts about the test or panicking about the
No,
test as such,
no, not really,
but
no.
but it was about this. Yes. So what happens there is, since this has been in your mind for some time,
Yeah.
and your identification with it is a bit strong. So
Yeah, it's
therefore,
very, very strong.
yeah, whenever thoughts start bubbling up, this is the main thing that the mind can catch you. So mind can make the self weak. So therefore, mind is taking you to that thought process. So
Mm.
why it happens is because you basically are in the body. You basically have gone beyond the feelings layer. So therefore, your mind layer is very active, and it is especially very active when you go to bed, and also when you're about to wake up. So that happens to most of the practitioners.
Mm.
They get a very sound sleep, few hours, and then they wake up. When they wake up, they see the head is full of thoughts, which
Hmm.
which they have absolutely no control over. So why that happens is the practitioners are going beyond the physical process. They are going beyond the feelings layer, and this mind layer has been very active, and you very clearly see that in the sleep. So because we are addicted to the sleep, so when that happens in the sleep, we consider it as an abnormal thing. It is an abnormal thing to someone who is not practicing. But for someone who is practicing, even for someone who is not practicing, if they have this situation, it may be due to the fact that they have some issue which makes them forget about the body, which makes them forget about the feeling there. So although they are not practicing, the incident that has happened may bring their mental process more and more to the surface. So when the mental process comes to the surface, all what you see is unrelated, uncontrollable, irrational thought process. So when that thought process happens, especially for the practitioner, it is because the awakening is high. So it is therefore something that you will have to be happy that you are seeing, you have the ability to see the speed of the mental process. Instead, we get scared and we get bogged down in it, and we try to take control over. We have no control over. When we see that, we have a smile and just keep observing it in the sense you don't try to see what sort of thoughts, what categories, what classifications, and all those cannot be done at this level. You will have to simply allow whatever that has to happen, and you simply don't poke your fingers in with the thoughts. And this is what you mentioned, that with that your awareness becomes heightened. So awareness heightened in the sense you will have to have a situation where you don't involve. Not that you become aware and get control over it. Not that. You let it happen, and you don't get involved with it. So that you create a distance between whatever thought process that is going on. So as a result, it doesn't become yours. And what this thought process is simply showing is that you don't have control. So when it shows that you don't have control, you are exactly seeing what Buddha said. What Buddha said is there is no self. So this thought process is showing that there is no self. But our mind may be trying to tell, no, you are a superhuman, you take a control over it. Oh, that is the stupid idea that the mind is trying to give. No, Blessed One says, he himself, being such a Superman, he said, no, there is no self. Things are happening beyond our control. So if it is beyond our control, when we see that it is beyond our control, what we simply say is there is no self. And when we see that there is no self, don't try to create self with it. Then only we are asking trouble. So that is where this incident is going and is trying to tell you. So I'm glad to hear that you become more and more aware about it. So that's thing that you will have to keep doing. And also you mentioned there are good times and there are bad times, and even the good times come and go, and you are happy about it, you said, and you have got to be a little bit careful here. Don't go for any overestimation. And if you see there are good times, or it's very nice to see that they come and go. So that's a good observation. But be happy, not about having good times. Be happy being aware of it, whether it's good or bad. Be happy about being aware, so that you will be identifying non-reactional, you will be appreciating non-reactional attitude rather than the fact whether it's good or bad.
Mhm.
Right. So by
Yeah.
appreciating non-reactional attitude, that starts will develop. And when you are happy about good times, then it is a bit risky. That will create an overestimation in the mind. Then it will be easier for the mind to put you down again. It can throw you from the summit, and you will be at the rock bottom again. Right. So therefore, don't
Yeah.
go for an overestimation. Be alert all the time. Anything can happen anytime. I will simply be observing, or I'll be simply let it happen and don't poke my fingers.
Yeah.
So that is what I will have to say, especially when you said craving reduced significantly. That's an attempt of the mind, sometimes, attempt of the mind to fool you. And it says, okay, your craving is done, you go anywhere and do anything. And then it might go the other way around.
Yeah.
So seeing that craving is reduced, good. But
Yeah.
always underestimate at sea. Be prepared that craving might come up anytime.
Okay.
Anger might come up anytime. Bad times will come up anytime. So I will have to be alert.
Yeah. I just have
Alright.
one more question. Just one more question, Sanasa, sorry. It's regarding the creating of the self and like trying to do things. I have this I have this habit where like especially at work or something, when I feel like I make a mistake, the bottom of my feet really tense up. So I feel like a cramping sensation like on the sole of my feet. I don't know if there's any explanation to that. So I just wanted to like know like
Yeah.
if that's a common thing or like yeah. It's like an anxiety thing. But
Yeah.
like the negative energy starts like getting
Yeah. I
cramped
mean,
up and stuff.
yeah, it is rather the negative energy when we don't like to get blamed,
Yeah.
right? So when that happens, when that goes in the mind, it starts manifesting physically. So when it starts manifesting physically, you can simply label it mentally.
Yeah.
Right. So you can accept it as it is. Don't try to do anything.
Mm.
You can accept as anxious,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
feet trembling, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Accept it as it is. So then you will not react to it. When you get emotional or when you start getting emotional, straight away start labeling within yourself inside emotional. So when you feel sad, when you feel good, anything, start labeling so that it will not overpower you. So if you become anxious about anxiety, then it is easy for it to overpower. If you try to reduce it, if you try to get rid of it, then it will try to overpower because other people haven't seen it. Since your sensitivity level is high, you know what's going in the mind, therefore you know what's happening in the subtle layer of your physical process. So that is because your sensitivity level is high. It is not because of anxiety. It is because this is happening to each and every donkey. And only the sensitive people are able to tap that layer. So when you tap it, you accept that as it is. This is happening now.
Yeah.
So that you will not react to it. Since you don't react to it, since you don't hate it, it will not cultivate. It is coming up to vanish. So since you don't react, it will not create the next condition to move forward.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that'll be awesome, Anasa.
Okay. Anybody else? Are you going to talk, Alex?
Yes, I'll go. Yeah. Yeah, I've been doing like 35 to 40 minutes meditation. That was increased from 30 minutes from like a week ago or so. And nowadays, Bante, hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Oh yes.
yeah, I can.
Oh yes. Nowadays, somehow I'm trying to do meditations twice a day. As in the morning and the night. Whereas I was only doing during the night, right?
Okay.
Yeah, because um I've been finding myself like getting up too late, sleeping too late. So it kind of breaks my daily routine. So by doing meditation like early in the morning, so that I believe I can like live my days more productive.
Mhm.
And meanwhile I try to do that. Sometimes it breaks my meditation rhythm. That's somehow
Mhm.
I feel. That kind of breaks my rhythm, what I do during the nighttime. Sometimes like um the other day I just did 10 minutes,
Mhm.
whereas I was doing like 35 minutes usually. The day I was doing 10 minutes meditation was like pretty late. It was like or 3 or 4 in the morning.
Mhm.
And on the next day I woke up like and I did the meditation during the day, which I felt really good. And today, yep, somehow I did 10 minutes in the morning, and I did like 45 minutes right now. And I'm just wondering how I can like make it familiarize myself doing meditations early in the morning and during the nighttime. That's that's what I'm willing to do.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't hear you from the next morning. You said something about next morning, and then
Yeah,
I didn't.
the next morning I did 45 minutes 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And on the next day I did 10 minutes in the morning, and the next day, which is today,
Yeah.
I did 10 minutes in the morning, and yes, 45 minutes just before. And
Yeah.
I'm willing to familiarize myself like by doing like 35 to 40 minutes just in the
Yes.
morning and the night, so that
Yeah.
I can do twice a day, like every day.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do these days. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering
Okay.
how I can just
Yeah. No, I mean, trying to increase your time is good, Alex. But
yes.
still, as I said the other day, what is important for me is your observations.
Yes. Um, just what's the word? Just let me think of a word. Yeah, I still, what's the word? You get to
Where did
see, yes, I get to see like yeah, what's going around me and stuff like that. And
no, let me finish my comment.
yes, yes.
Can we turn off the videos, please, so that we will be having better bandwidth?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. What I'm saying is now, in your report, you are mainly talking about the increasing
Sorry?
frequency and increasing the time devoted. You are trying your level best to practice. And at the same time, even in the last session, what I told was give your observations of walking and sitting. That is more important than increasing the frequency and then increasing the time. because with that, if you increase the time, I should know what sort of observations are coming, and then I can accordingly guide you. So therefore, I will request you in the next report, give me your observations of walking and sitting. That will be some raw material for me to help you. Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. If there is no one else, then we will be able to pass the merit and conclude the session. So, will you be able to do that, Alex, today?
Sorry.
Will you be able to pass merits, share the merits with the other living beings? I will.
Would you share the screen for me, please?
Yeah. Can you see it now?
No.
Okay, just give me a second. Can you see
Yes.
it now?
Yes.
Yeah. So today we have practiced 1.5 hours and then listened to a talk and discuss about mindfulness. And with that, we have generated tremendous amount of positive energies. We will share those positive energies with the rest of the world, chanting these verses in English. Over to you, Alex.
Yes. May all devas share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all other beings share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all the beings share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect the dispensation. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect the teaching. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect me and others. If by deed, speech, or thought, heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive, O Master, O Victor, greatly wise. If by deed, speech, or thought, heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive, O Dhamma, to be seen here, now, and timeless. If by deed, speech, or thought, heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive, O Sangha, practice well the incomparable. Let this merit occur to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. Let this merit occur to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. Let this merit occur to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only wise up to the time I attain Nibbana. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise up to the time I attain Nibbana. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only wise up to the time I attain Nibbana.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, everybody, for participating. See you next time.
That was
Thank you.
Teruvan Saranai, Teruvan Saranai.